And is it true that Luna Park is also going forward as a film?
Well, Luna Park, because it's grounded in the horror genre.
Yeah.
It would be a much better bet in this day and age.
Sure.
And so I know that the people who are in control of that project are fairly serious about it, and they are still serious about it. But I'm not involved, so
okay.
I hear bits and pieces every now and then, but nothing is set in stone on that. Actors have come and gone, and directors have come and gone, but I'm really not quite sure where they are on that now.
Yeah. After the experience of Less Than Zero, do you still feel comfortable sort of relinquishing control over an adaptation of one of your books?
Well, actually, it's not after Less Than Zero. It's after The Informers.
Right.
That really made me pause about getting, letting my books be turned into movies. Less Than Zero I was really young, and it just seemed kind of exciting that someone was making a movie out of my book. And it just, I was a little disheartened watching that the first time and realizing that there wasn't a single scene or line of dialogue in the movie, and I just, took the characters and the title. But no, I mean, you sell the rights to the book because they're offering you money, and the money is pretty good, and the odds of anyone ever making your book into a movie are tiny.
Right.
I think 2% of all books that are optioned make it to the screen. So the odds are pretty good. You get the money, and they don't make it into a movie, and that's great because the movie can be a disaster, or it can be, whatever. It more often than not does not work out.
Yeah.
So that's how I've placed the bets. I've always said, well, they're never going to make it into a movie. Let them pay you for it and see what happens. But they have made a lot of them into, compared to like how many books I've published, more of them than not have been made into movies, and it's always kind of a surprise. And I actually helped with the last one, which is the movie that probably worked the least out of those four. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a tricky thing to deal with.
What was it in particular about I watched the Informers film. What was it in particular that you feel it sort of missed the mark on?
An Australian directed it.
Yeah, Gregor.
Yeah, I think that was part of the problem. And a German produced it.
Yeah.
I really think that the script that was devised it was very much an intimate portrait of that time and place. And I think if you didn't have some kind of roots in that, you weren't here as a kid in the 80s, and if you didn't see that there was a lot of Altman-esque satire in the script, then that was going to look and play out like an Australian soap opera, which is what it did. It did not have the kind of looseness, the humor, everything. It was as if someone read the script, played it very straight, and what you have is kind of an innervated movie.
Yeah.
And also, Gregor shot a lot of stuff and then decided to find the movie in the editing room, but the script was very carefully constructed, so there was a lot of payoffs in the end, and they weren't there. There was like 50 minutes of the movie missing. So it really was, and once you realize this, because you're all like having dinner together for months and casting the movie and talking about it, and it all sounds fantastic, and you're so happy that you've got the script, they got all these actors involved, and you have the script, they got all this money to make the movie, and then, the first couple of weeks you go, is this working? I'm not sure. But by that time, you're kind of on a runaway train, and you just are hoping that by the very end of it, the movie's you'll find it in the editing room, or you can score it. The score will save it. We'll add music to it or something, and it becomes a very desperate kind of thing. So I think that's part of the problem. But it was a very stressful experience. It was not, but it's over.
Bret, I wanted to ask you, lastly, what sort of are your next projects? What's next for you?
I don't know. I don't have one. I don't have one. don't have any. Mm, I don't have one. Another book? I don't have one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's very interesting to be a novelist at this transitional point in the culture, you know?
Mm.
I find myself, I mean, I'm still a reader, and I like reading fiction, but I find my patience with reading fiction is becoming, I'm having less of it, let's say.
Yeah, yeah.
And I find myself having less conversations with, whatever, college-educated white people of a certain class who tended to read a lot of literary fiction. I tend to not have those conversations as much anymore. And people are kind of lamenting the fact that they're not reading as much as they used to, and they're spending a lot of time on the computer, and it's a little distressing.
Yeah.
But I think that is actually happening. I think people would rather, go online in a way than pick up a book and read a novel or a serious literary novel. But yet, the other night, a friend of mine came over who I'm working on a script with, and he brought his iPad over. And we were looking at the books that he downloaded onto the iPad, and they looked really beautiful. They looked great.
Yeah.
I had always complained. I always thought the Kindle was ugly, and that the books looked like crap, and the way you were downloading them was terrible. And I just hate. I mean, I understood the Kindle for traveling, but just the look of it was they hadn't perfected it yet. The iPad gets really close. It looks really nice, and the books. Some of the books that he had looked even better than they did. I mean, I don't think I'm ever going to be someone who can. I'll always want that kind of tactile, sensuous experience of holding an object,
Yep.
holding the book and touching it and turning the actual pages rather than flipping the pages on an iPad screen. But, so all of this is a very long-winded way of telling you I don't have an idea for a novel. And why? I don't know. Could it be something about the reputation of the novel itself right now and its lack of importance in terms of how it plays a role in our culture, which is just how we are as a culture. I'm not painting anything black or anything. I'm just saying that I think this is kind of where we are, and it's, I don't know. I don't know if it really is, it is a moment where you can get that excited over the novel.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's all a long way of answering that question.
Sure.
But hopefully something will come from it. Usually something does.
Yeah.
But it takes some time.
I suppose it's a very rare situation for you to be in, because from what I gather, you've always had another project somewhere in the back of your brain while you've been writing something else.
Well, I was thinking a lot about, in a jokey way, I've been thinking about a novel about Sean Bateman, about Patrick Bateman's younger brother.
Yep.
And I've been toying with that. But I wanted to make him a big homosexual and write this big gay novel about him. But I really don't know anything about gay culture.
Yeah.
And I was talking to a gay friend of mine. He said, "Oh, you should write the book." And I said, how can I write that book when I really don't know that much about gay culture? And my gay friend said, "Oh, that'll make it even better."
Yeah, yeah.
So, but I don't know if that really is on the plate. That seems kind of like a performance art joke.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Maybe, who knows? Maybe that will be the new book. I don't know what it'll be called though. American what? I shudder to think. I shudder to think.
Yeah, yeah. It could be anything. The mind boggles.
It does.
Yeah.
Daily.
Yeah. Well, Bret, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me.
No problem. And I hope the piece comes out good.
Yeah. Well, I've got plenty to work with, so
Excellent.
yeah, I look forward to writing it. But thank you again, and loved Imperial Bedrooms, so I look forward to your next project.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks again, Bret.
Okay.
Okay. Bye.